will get to Brian. But well, welcome to episode 2 of the Rated LR podcast. This is very much different from the first episode, considering the first one was hour and a half of Dragon Ball GT. This one has no real topic, no backbone. It's just talking. I am one of your main hosts, Nick, and then there's Jamil,
Yeah, I exist. I've been
and then
here
our
before.
guests. They're famous. You probably heard of them. Luke
Hi.
and Trufalo.
Howdy.
Great. So all 4 of us went to high school together. 3 of us grew up together. Jamil's the outlier there.
3 of us grew up.
I'm the outlier here for more than one reason.
But I guess first topic of discussion will be our good friend, Brian. Who wants to go first?
I was literally about to ask.
Had a lot to say.
Yeah, Jamil sounded like he was coming out of the gate strong.
I was actually going to say who wanted to go first, but fucking Brian is just because I'm not even sure where to start. Like, he's just the most perfect human being in existence. Now, like, I know that sounds weird because of the way we talk about him, but he is literally the most perfect human in existence. You know why? Because he's so socially inept that no social cues, any kind of social judgment, none of that will ever affect him. That is why I believe Brian to be the most perfect human in existence.
I had to mute because that was so funny.
No, just go ahead and laugh. You were free to laugh.
It's comedy hour.
calling Brian the most
you said
perfect
that you were
human
gonna-
being.
You said that you were going to bring up something about him mispronouncing something.
Yes.
This. His insistence on that he quote unquote doesn't care, which he doesn't. I 100% believe him when he says he doesn't care. And Luke, you can attest to this. Anytime we've played Among Us, how many times has he pronounced your girlfriend's name wrong? How many times? At least twice that I remember. And every time, and the reason it's so, like, it's only twice, and it's like, who cares? No, it's twice, and we've said, hey, you're pronouncing her name wrong, dickhead. And it's like, well, I
And
don't
then
care.
he'll be like, my bad. And then
No, he'll be like, my bad, but I don't really care.
Sounds just like him.
No, it's the most passive-aggressive bullshit. Like,
Well, how does he pronounce it?
So,
Anna. But
yes.
Oh, what a moron. No.
Yeah, he pronounces it Anna.
How do you mess that up?
Exactly.
Luke,
it's
what do you
really
say?
not
But,
hard.
Luke, what do you say to that?
I'm not bothered by it. you
I
know,
would
as long
assume
as no
Luke
one
doesn't
die.
care, but like,
Yeah.
Brian is the most.
It doesn't
Go ahead.
also
It's
help
funny.
that it's not. He's not the only offender in terms of mispronouncing people's names wrong, or just pronouncing people's names wrong.
see,
Peter
but
just went a good long while of calling my girlfriend Kate when there was just no E there.
see, but like, he doesn't just. Well, it's not just Brian, but it's also not just Anna. I'll just say Anna from this point forward because I wanna feel like what Brian feels like. I want to experience perfection for a little bit. Fucking, I don't remember who else he does it to, but like, it's more than once, more than one person is what I should say.
It's the lack of him caring that, and he could say everything wrong and just not give a shit. And I see what you mean by him being perfect. He does not care,
Yeah,
and that's what makes him perfect. Not giving a shit about anything around him. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, like we have definitely made him the butt of the joke numerous times, and it rolls off of him like fucking butter.
I was gonna say, we've made him the butt of the joke multiple times, and we've told him we've made him the butt of the joke multiple times. He will never give a shit, not once. And that is why I have the utmost respect for Brian.
You know what? You
Like-
know what? Laughing at it all makes sense.
Like
It all makes
I don't
sense.
say that out of malice. I mean, I'm saying I respect him, but like when we talk about him, this isn't necessarily out of malice. It's just the truth.
It really is.
So, does anyone have any good Brian stories from high
We
school?
could just retard rebound.
Oh yeah, because like
good
that's the
times.
because I can't think of any specific stories because like I wanted to because most of his stories involve most of us.
Yeah.
We're all there for Brian. Other than that, who does Brian talk to?
His brothers, his
Yeah,
literal
Brothers
brothers,
from another mother.
and I.
Sophomore year, we were all in the same gym class. Not Luke, but the three of us, along with a solid portion of our school friends. You know, those friends that you have in school but not out of school. There was a whole cast. There was Norin. There was Tom.
Big Tom.
But there was Dutto. But there was the big one,
The big
Brian.
one.
You know,
He was somehow.
hold
Well,
on
True
before
Flow was
you
the best
continue.
at-
Any opportunity to use nicknames, we use nicknames. Like Dutto, yeah.
All
Lil
right.
T.
Grimaldi.
Lil T.
Little T. But True Flow was objectively the best basketball player there because he's the only one, you know, who was good at it.
Not even just that, just even remotely athletic.
Or knew how to play.
Mm.
At least knew the basic rules of basketball. So Brian, what he would love to do is he would stand under the net, and whenever the ball would miss, because most of the time people miss their shots, he would catch it and just throw it up and just rebound every single shot and always get a point because no one blocked him. And when they tried blocking him, you would get shoulder checked by one of the other big guys.
I'm just imagining it right now. It's so funny. Just watching Brian not even putting any effort, just tossing the ball in the air, and everyone's getting so mad, screaming at him.
God, it wasn't even just, it was multiple days of just like I distinctly remember Thomas going on a fucking rant out of like he took the ball from him and just like kept like both hands out on the ball, just shaking it back and forth, like mimicking the motion of Brian's rebound, and it was just going off on him for like 5 minutes. It just
That's
like,
what-
it
the
really
best
got
part.
to that point.
And it gets so
Basketball
hostile.
was war.
Yeah, it really was. And you get back into the locker room, and everyone's all pissed off at each other and wouldn't
No,
talk to each other.
it was half of them was pissed off, half of them had a great time.
Whoever won had a
because-
good
No, it
time.
literally was. Whoever won had a good time. Whoever lost
Like-
was, would bitch about it for like 15 minutes. And this includes everyone. Like, no,
It
it's
does.
not.
So, sorry.
It's not like. It's not like the same three people were necessarily winning. It's if you weren't winning, you bitched about it for like
Unless you're
20
Norm.
minutes after the fact. Unless you're Norin, in which case you just tried to fight people.
So
Do you
Norin
want to
was
share
the
that
big-
one?
the big Russian one. He he would basically come at you, and if you know anything about basketball, you know that this is just horrifically wrong. But that was pretty much just how we played basketball. It was street rules all the time, and it was never pronounced that it was street rules. He would run up to you, grab the ball, and rip it out of your hands. And if you hung on to it long enough, he would eventually just push you off of the ball and run away with it. And then he would either pass it to Brian or Thomas or Dutto or Trufalo. And I just gave you the list of all stars out of the 16 that would play every
And
day.
well, hold on, let's establish like why they're all stars. Fucking the obviously Brian's the retard rebound. There is no there. It's just guaranteed that it's gonna end well for you. You have Trufalo, who can kind of play basketball, is remotely athletic, tall, the perfect option. Then you have Thomas and Dutto, tall, gigantic,
both like 6'9".
Colossal
Both like 6'9".
motherfuckers.
Meanwhile,
big too.
there was a girl that played with us who was like 5'4", and then
Julio.
little T was fucking 5'8". Like,
Let's see.
it was not fair for a lot of those people. I'm surprised Brian went as long as he did without getting speared into a fucking wall.
You know,
You
looking
say
back
that,
at it,
but I'm pretty sure his brother did
It
that for
happened.
him.
Oh, and yeah, we play with Dejan too.
Yeah.
It just reminds me when he ripped off the pocket off his shirt. Remember that? His nipple came out.
Yeah, no, it was literally me and Dejan were talking, and Thomas walks up to him and goes, "Nice shirt pocket." And just like, grabs his shirt pocket
And just
rips it
ripped the
off.
fucking pocket. And it just revealed man titty.
We referred to it as his almond teddy.
And he zipped up the red hoodie he wore every day. God, that just entire gym class was a fucking mess.
Best gym class I think I've ever had.
See, we were complete fucking just morons in that fucking class, but at least the teachers liked us.
Oh my god, yeah, they loved us.
Yeah,
They were the only ones that showed like we
with
had
any
fun.
interest.
Remember when we military marched instead of walked?
Oh my god, that's right. We did do that.
Oh my
Remember when we
God.
played full contact football?
Okay, wait,
Big
but
Mike.
We'll get to that, but
you can't skip over one of the most legendary basketball moments of Thomas, this 6'9" monster, running at little T, this 5'8" like short stack who had the ball, and Thomas just tripped and basically tackled little T and took him to the ground. And Thomas got up. He's like, "Yo, dude, sorry about that, man. You all good?" And little T was on the ground. He was like, "Yeah, dude, fucking shit." Flattened.
speaking of Jib injuries, there's a multitude of these, and they all kind of occur in like that same like time period. I don't know
on
who,
multiple occasions.
I don't know who did it. I
Red.
think it was either Brian's brother or Thomas himself who shattered Zaire's knees. Like he actually just broke his ankle. Like he wasn't like legitimately hurt, but his knee hurt. It was hurt enough that he could just barely walk, and he had to go home.
I
And
remember
even
that.
senior year, that injury was still kind of coming back a bit.
Yeah, no, that was the only legitimate
Big time.
injury.
It was big time.
But before we actually got to play basketball, there was always the warm-ups. I remember I was running with Thomas and Norin. I don't know what happened. I like they were like fucking messing around with each other. I know that. Somehow, Tom just falls on Norin. And like this happens right in front of me, so I trip over them. So all three of us are just on the ground. Like in Norin's, for some reason, like, I think it was just like a day where like we all ended up kind of separated for whatever reason. But all I remember is Norin, for some reason, he wasn't really mad, but he was yelling at me the most afterwards, and I don't know why.
You didn't want to get on Thomas's bad side.
To be fair, yeah.
Which
I don't think
reminds me-
anyone wants
It's
to.
not like you bullied the shit out of Norton.
Oh, we all did. We had every reason to.
We'll get
but
to that
the
story.
middle was a whole extra.
Exactly. But that reminds me of, speaking of bullying, we always run around slapping each other's necks.
Oh my god, open next season.
Next
The middle
season.
school game brought the sophomore year with behemoths like Thomas.
You just
Norin's
didn't
fat
have a
hands.
neck at a certain point.
Like
Dustin got it the worst.
ground, like that fucking fish who ate the chum from SpongeBob.
Oh man, looking at it now, Luke missed out on a lot. Luke, you missed out on a lot in that gym class, dude.
I did.
Speaking about
Mine's
Luke,
boring after a
so
while.
Luke, I know you were eager to talk about it before the podcast started, but like, what was that story about your mom and your dog and that peanut butter? Like, I don't know what that story was about, but you
Oh.
want to tell us
hold on,
about it?
this is going somewhere.
Whoa, wait, what?
You know,
Now,
look, let us hear it.
now, my dog was quite the specimen, to say the least.
God.
Did you really
Now,
have to use the word specimen?
He's dead.
trust me, it's gonna get interesting. That's why I'm saying it like that. But my dog, has always been pretty happy. You know, maybe a little too happy. Now,
Oh,
I
boy.
always had a suspect feeling of her, where she was a closeted homosexual dog,
Oh, yep.
but
Yep.
it didn't
I
bother
was there.
me. You were there.
I remember those days.
As do I.
Excellent, excellent. But it didn't really bother me until one day, to really confirm this to myself, I had a jar of peanut butter. Now, you know how dogs are with peanut butter. You put it on their noses and they just go nuts. It's like their brain goes into autopilot and they just start going to town licking their noses. They can never truly get the peanut butter. It's a shame. So anyway, the peanut butter, I bring it out. And at first I'm like, all right, let's give her a little bit of a treat. Peanut butter, dogs, it's always a good time. She doesn't like the peanut butter. I'm thinking to myself, that's kind of weird. Why would my dog not want to lick the peanut butter? Because all dogs love the peanut butter. What kind of dog doesn't want to go to town licking their fucking noses? No, 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 no. She's different. Instead of for the peanut butter, she stares at it, looks at me, does a little spin, sits down, and reaches out her paw. Look, this is a business offer? What do you want me to
Should I
do?
take?
Exactly. It's like you're offering me the paw for the peanut butter. No, 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 no. She doesn't even want the peanut butter. She wants all for her paw. That's kind of weird. I go to shake her hand because, a deal with the dog's always got to be a good deal. She kicks the peanut butter right out of my hand. Can you believe that? Right out of my hand. So now the jar of peanut butter is on the ground. She kicked it off. She's smiling at me as I'm shaking her paw.
I was
And I'm thinking to
gonna say,
myself,
is it just on the ground now?
now it's just on the ground. What the hell? All dogs love peanut butter. She has some kind of disdain towards peanut butter. That's what made me realize, holy shit,
Luke,
she's a
wait.
closeted homosexual.
But Luke, wait. Where does your mom come
I
into
was
this?
about to ask, where does your mom fit into all of this?
Now, the details are still a little fuzzy, of course, but I think she was there. She saw the whole thing. Like, she was a little confused too. And I told her, like, yo, something's not right with this dog. I love her to death, but when you don't want the peanut butter, there's a problem. It's just always been lingering in the back of my head. It comes up once in a while. But in short, if your dog doesn't like peanut butter, it may have trouble coming out. And you should support your dog all the way, no matter what. Peanut butter lover or not, they're your best friend, man. You gotta love that dog to death.
So
But
wait,
Speaking of
hold on,
death,
hold on, hold on, hold on.
Roxy did end up indeed passing away.
yes,
Uh-huh, but wait, hold on. Was this just some kind of like subconscious, subliminal, hey, it's okay to be gay. You should support your homies, aka your dogs, if they ever come out as gay. Was this that
Lars,
subliminal?
ally of the LGBTQ
That is a
community.
good question.
oh yeah,
Yes. Support your gay dogs.
Support
we
your
can
gay
make a gay
dogs.
religion out of this, specifically for gay dogs.
Well, I think I've just found the tagline for this episode.
There you go.
Support gay dogs.
It is support your gay homies.
So I think another thing that we could talk about, truthfully, this is more of a me and you thing with minor inclusion on the other two. Sick Nasty Incorporated.
Oh boy.
Okay,
Yeah. See,
hold
talking
on.
about
Before you
Wait,
guys
wait.
get into Sick Nasty, let's just try and keep in like chronological order here. Were there any other stories from like gym that you guys had?
I don't got any I want
I
to share.
mean, other
Oh,
than badminton, but that was
That
I
the
was
mean,
year after.
it's not really
there's
a
always
story, but I just remember when Big Mike laid Tom out playing football.
Yeah, full contact football.
Yeah, Big Mike was a dude that just kind of showed up near the end of the year and started playing like
Who was
football and
just
basketball with us.
also
And then
bigger than Tom.
yeah, and out of
by
nowhere he
weight, by
laid
weight.
Tom out, and it was just
One of the best
like
moments that we've ever seen. It
he was like
was
making God bleed.
It was literally what is God to a non-believer.
It's so true.
As Big Mike just trucks his ass.
Yeah, and puts Tom on the ground, and Tom was so confused. All
Well,
right,
Sick
yeah, I think
Nasty Incorporated actually happened at the beginning of sophomore year, while Jim was at the end. So we're going back in time a little bit. So
All right.
let me real quick. So Sick Nasty Incorporated was a YouTube channel I made, but didn't really show that I made it outside of friends, and it's still out there today. In fact, if you search up Sick Nasty Incorporated, it will still show up as one of the first things. We have 10 subs, and I forgot the login password. So, uh, and as I described it, if you're wondering what a Sick Nasty is, we do not do anything nasty nor sick, as the description says here. A sick nasty is a quick and easy movement that can be described as only dank. A sick nasty does not limit to only the movements we do. Be creative and make your own, and one day you'll be lit at AF. We
God,
don't have any sort of schedule. And I mean, be real with this kind of content. Do we need one? That still goes for this channel too.
right, hold on. Dank is the most 2016 word that I've ever
yeah.
heard.
it really
Like,
is.
We
That's
use
what made it.
dank unironically for the entirety of 2016 for like didn't matter what the context was. So that took me back a minute there.
Yeah, no, this is a throwback. And Sick Nasty Incorporated was great because every video was recorded on a phone, and every video was about 4 to at most 20 seconds. We even caught Bigfoot.
And young one finding his chocolate milk.
Ah, yes, young one, Luke finding his chocolate milk. That's a great video.
the dad found inner peace.
Like Uruguay.
Master Uruguay.
There are no accidents.
But that's all. I just wanted to bring up Sick Nasty Incorporated. Truthful, do you remember any good memories with that YouTube channel?
Well, the one that just actually just popped in my head is the one that we made in our geometry class. Prepubescent twat comes out as gay.
Ah, yeah, that one. That's a classic.
That was
see, just for the viewers at home, just for some reference here, I was never a part of Sick Nasty Incorporated. I was kind of aware of it. Like, what?
I don't really
Remind me, what
started
did
it.
you say? Sick Nasty Twat comes out as gay?
It was just
No,
prepubescent twat.
Oh,
Yes.
prepubescent. Okay.
That changes it.
Looking at it now, Sick Nasty Twat would have been a pretty sick title.
Sick Nasty Twat. Yeah, it's like a mascot.
that would have. That's our mascot.
Sounds like a Tony Hawk move.
Sick Nasty Twat, the Tony Hawk move. Oh god, Sick Nasty. That's good.
But yeah, and it was going pretty well for a while because it was just really fast content that was just extremely low effort, like extremely low effort. But then the freshman, one grade below us, got a hold of it. As in, not the channel, but just Sick Nasty, the Sick Nasties, and burned that shit and dug it into the ground so far where it was no longer funny or fun.
Facts.
And that's what killed
Ruined
Sick
our
Nasty
spirits.
Incorporated.
It did. It really
The
did.
freshmen.
I hate freshmen.
Yeah, fuck all freshmen.
Yeah, really. If you're a freshman watching this, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously, go fuck yourself.
Why even in high school? Just drop out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
no one is ever a freshman except you.
literally, just go get homeschooled during your freshman year, then come back as a sophomore. Otherwise, you're just a
Facts.
fucking degenerate. Like
Good.
For the
you are the
minuscule amount
worst
of people
human.
that know, if you started chanting "Go Mets" in the green cafeteria, you are a fucking loser.
You should have just got shot right on the spot. No one would have cared.
I'm so happy I wasn't in Green Calf.
Shit, wait, Jamil wasn't there, were you?
Yeah, no, I was not.
So Jamil, it was this thing a lot of people would do where they would just, mainly the football team got it started, but everyone was in on it. So everyone would just start chanting Mets, 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 and if freshmen started chanting it too, they would have no idea why. And it's just kind of get them to look like idiots.
That is the funniest thing I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
I was in the green cap when it happened, but I didn't participate because I was just angsty, fuck everyone here kind of person.
Yeah, no, that's like the one benefit to being like an angsty teen. Because sometimes you're so angsty that you won't go along with the crowd, even though you kind of subconsciously want to, just because you want to be that guy. It's like, yeah, I didn't clap when everyone else clapped. I didn't cheer when everyone else cheered. And this is the one time it works out for you.
So sophomore year was a great time out in and out of school. Luke, Truffalo, remember that time back when Truffalo, you didn't have metal in your knee yet. For everyone at home, Truffalo got some surgery in his knee. That's all.
Yeah.
Nothing serious, really. But
wait, hold on.
Hold
on. Before you continue, does this mean we can call him the Bronze Kneecap?
Yes, that's what everyone called him. Luke, Truffalo, remember that?
Yep.
I remember like once somebody called it the Bronze Kneecap.
The Bronze Kneecap with my bronze kneecap.
Fine as hell.
Damn straight.
I remember we were hanging out, us guys, with Brandon. You know him.
I know where this is going.
And I think it was Diablocky, right?
Fire block.
Yep.
And we went ding dong ditching.
Oh
I
yeah.
know where this is going.
So this story is a great one. I've told this a million fucking times because it's just a really funny story. So me and Luke it was around the time the second Star Wars movie in terms of the new trilogy came out or was coming out. So you can kind of gauge the time period. Me and Luke went to the local corner store because we couldn't drive yet to go get some food, and we were bringing it back to Truffalo and Diablocky. Brandon shows up. Brandon is a notoriously known,
You can use the word.
known as a scumbag, but doesn't really show that. He just kind of shows that he could be something more. That sounds right. That sounds right.
He's a failure.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but
He could be something more. So much better. That was so much better.
So he asks to hang out, and he kind of just invites himself along. The day goes on. It's like 9 o'clock. We're walking through this neighborhood, and we have the idea of ding dong ditching, right? And we're having some fun, you know. But then we're done, right? It's a little late now. It's like 10:30 to 11, you know, and we're walking back. Brandon sees this house. Luke, I don't know if you remember this. Brandon sees this house with all the lights on, a bunch of cars in the driveway, and this big red pickup truck. And he goes, "Yo, let's do this one." And we all look at him like, "Are you fucking stupid?" No, that's literally just asking for it to get caught. He's like, "All right, fine." So then he goes and rings it anyway, as you would. So we're all running. We're running down the street. We take a right, and then we take a left. Truffalo at the time had the bad knee, so he was in the back. I was the chunkiest of the group, so I was in the second to last spot. Truffalo was on the corner of the street still. Now Truffalo
Oh, you bet your ass I would. Like to tell from here. All right, so I'm freaking walking down the street. I'm right near a white picket fence, and I turn around. I see this big red truck turn the corner, and I look ahead of me, and I yell, "Run!" And everyone in front of me was sprinting, except me, because I have a bad leg, and I'm over here limping, and everyone's screaming. Everyone's screaming for their lives.
Shit.
Carnes was gone. My
Oh,
man
he
was
ran right to the
gone.
woods.
He
He
was
got the
gone.
most scared of everyone.
That was the best part.
Luke, where were you in that scenario? What was your mindset?
Developing PTSD on the sidewalk.
No,
Oh my
Luke, run me through. What after we ran like around the corner and we thought we were good, and then Truthful saw the truck. What was your instant mindset when he said run?
Well, we went 0 to 100, making a run for our lives, where that truck was going 0 to 60, trying to chase our asses down. So I want to say that it was probably the most unnecessary intense moment of my childhood.
He's got a point.
Was it
Remember,
entertaining? Absolutely.
how did we
I
get
mean,
away from it?
We just kept going.
We just kept running through the neighborhood.
we ended up back at Luke's house.
Yep,
We just
Didn't we
completely
get
just
separated?
asked. We did.
we
Technically,
did.
We got separated for a little bit.
We
I remember
did.
that.
I don't
But
even know how that happened.
We all went different ways. It was just bad.
yeah, Rocky went home. Brandon ran through the woods, terrified, and then the night ended with us three at Luke's
As it
house.
should. As it should.
Kind of like, oh, that happened.
And that
And
was
we
one
just
of the
went
best
inside.
nights because it's one of the best stories to tell.
I agree.
But yeah, so that sophomore year wrapped up, I'd say, pretty well. That's like the most
Yeah.
eventful of the first 2 years.
Well, that was like sophomore year going into junior year. It was like the summer.
Yeah.
Good times, though.
Yeah. So I don't know. I talked to Luke about this earlier, and I wanted to bring this up with you, Jamil. This has nothing to do with any of you, but it's something that needs to be addressed. Now, let me preface this with: I don't have a problem with advertisements. I just don't. They're fine. I get why they exist, right?
Uh-huh.
And they can make money for the people who get the advertisements put on their content. However, so today I was listening to a podcast, favorite podcast, and then I have Spotify Premium, and then I I realized when the podcast opens, there's an ad, but this ad isn't a Spotify ad. This is an ad integrated into the podcast itself, but it wasn't there before like a few months ago, maybe. Because I've listened to this this row of podcasts multiple times, just through either me sleeping, like trying to fall asleep to them, or wake in the middle of one, or listening to them when I'm doing DoorDash deliveries. That's what I used to do. But today I'm driving, and I get this one. Just kind of interrupts the flow of the podcast really poorly, very shoddy. It's Bob Saget. Now,
Of Full House fame.
yeah, of Full House fame and comedian notoriety, I guess. um, it how the ad goes is it like opens up with like, "Hi, I'm Bob Saget,"
Oh my god.
and everyone's got a podcast now. We all know what podcasts are. I have one. Bob Saget is here for you, and he goes, "In fact, it's such a good podcast. Stop listening to the podcast you're listening to right now and come watch mine. And then when you're done, come back to this one." Now, I wouldn't have had a problem with the entire thing. It's just a dude advertising. It's a rich dude advertising his podcast. But the fact that he has the balls to say, stop listening to the one you're listening to right now and go listen to mine. And I'm not lying when I say that. I'm not exaggerating either. When I heard that, I instantly was like, the fact that this is an ad that was put in by Spotify after the fact Now, for all I know, the guys who made the podcast allowed that, but they already have ads that they make themselves within the podcast. So I don't know what these ads are for outside of something like a promoted tweet where you pay money just for your advertisement to show up in a random spot on a publicly used media. But God, not only do I hate Full House, but that made me just say, man, so I just don't like anyone from Full House except John Stamos. That's crazy.
Man, fuck Bob Saget, am I right?
Yeah.
Hold on, don't say that. Even though we're not saying anything bad about him, let's not get a fucking defamation lawsuit on episode
Saget, we love you.
fucking podcast.
We love you and you love your podcast.
So, no.
Just don't like your
Just
advertisement.
say this. Allegedly, Bob Saget is a prick for that.
Or we
Allegedly, yeah.
could say,
Allegedly,
or we could
yes.
say,
Scandalous.
leave this podcast and go listen to his.
Like,
Yep.
allegedly, that seems like a pretty big ego for someone who has never had a podcast, and everyone has a podcast. So,
Bob Prick.
you are literally the 1 in a million podcast dude. You just happen to be famous.
For Full
I don't
House
know.
fame.
Like, what would a Bob Saget podcast even be about?
I
Like,
have
They're
no
talking
idea.
about
That's
Stephanie.
what I want to know. What is Bob Saget talking about?
Talking about Stephanie, is that what you said, Luke?
It's like, oh, my sweet girl, she has so many kids. So anyway, about drugs and money.
Facts.
He just
I feel
becomes
like-
Adam Sandler's character from that one movie about like where he's a criminal. Like the
Good
one
movie.
serious Adam Sandler movie that's out there.
Where he's like, I'm so
He
rich.
he
And then I
becomes
don't know, he
Brucey.
cuts the gems or something.
He becomes Brucey from The Longest Yard.
Fucking Brucey. Can we just say The Longest Yard is the best Adam Sandler film?
High
It's
four.
a cinematic master.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that statement.
I'm glad.
Not at all.
The Longest Yard. The Longest Saget.
Sag.
The longest
That's probably what the
Saget.
ad felt like.
That should be a
Skip
Spotify. That
past
should
it.
be
You can like hit like forward 15 seconds like 3 times and it's over. But God, like
the
You
longest
shouldn't even have
Saget
to
name of
press
his
it more than
podcast.
once.
The Longest Sag. That's
The
his podcast
longest-
name. That's his
The
podcast
Saget
name.
Sag Weekly.
The Sag
Bobby's
Weekly.
longest sag.
Now we're getting into porn
I
territory.
love you, Bob
All
Saget.
right, no. Let's move on. from
Allegedly,
fucking-
his longest sag.
We allegedly hate him, but we actually love him.
Allegedly Sag.
allegedly.
Saget, you want to come on to our
said.
podcast? Special guest?
If there is an episode where we have Bob Saget on the podcast,
Make
H3
sure
did
you
it.
hear about this.
you're not wrong, but we're not H3H3.
No
We
one
can be.
is H3H3 except H3H3.
You know
Fair
that-
enough.
Remember that phase that you had with Merc Music?
Berg Music.
You,
Is a-
you know what? I will say this. I've never watched Full House, so if we somehow ever get to that point where Bob Saget gets on our fucking podcast, hypothetically, I will watch all of Full House prior to that episode.
You're
That was
gonna
a
love
horrible
the
show.
first half, and then you're gonna hate yourself the more you watch it.
Like,
No, I feel like it by the time that I watch it, it will be one of those shows that was only good at the time.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
because
good
it's
at the
not,
time,
and if you
not
were, like-
because it's necessarily a bad show, but because it's just it's a product of the time.
Okay. Before we get into anything else, now you got me on this. I'm going to talk about the biggest thing I hate about Full House. All right.
Oh,
So, this is, I can give you the formula for almost every episode. Which, again, it's a sitcom. It's not fucking masterpiece directing. It's just the fact that this is the formula is what pissed me off. So, episode opens with some kind of funny gag involving Michelle being cute. And then the opening plays where they're all running through that field or some shit. Having the picnic on that weirdly open grass area in San Francisco. So then episode starts, establishes a few things with like 20 laugh tracks in one sentence. Then
So every
it
sitcom.
establishes one of the three girls, like the little girls, DJ, uh, Stephanie, and Michelle, establishes one of their opinions on the other's action. But that's it. Then episode goes, there's a subplot involving probably fucking what's John Stamos? Jesse. Probably something to do with Jesse and Joey. Danny Tanner's always in the background being the housewife, never in the spotlight until later in the episode. Something that one of the three, most likely Michelle of the girls, does something or chooses to feel a certain way, like an over exaggeration, such as, there is a child that is not Michelle in the household. Michelle is now sad. Sad music play. Cut to commercial. So when we come back to commercial, they make it this really serious moment where Danny, who's been cleaning the house the entire episode, comes in, has a talk with her with the same sad music playing, and then it ends with the same music cue, and then instead of the laugh track goes, "Aww," and then the credits roll, and then someone says something funny, and then it ends.
Don't forget
See,
the piano that plays.
As
over and
expected,
over.
it sounds like it's part of what it's definitely in that group of shows that established what every sitcom is. Like
Oh, yeah.
it just
No
sounds
George
like the
Lopez.
most generic sitcom format I've ever heard.
It ain't no George Lopez.
I was about to say, like, the only things I've watched and like kind of enjoyed were The Nanny and George Lopez.
What about
Can we
Freddie
just talk
Mercury?
about?
Well,
Can we just talk about how
Fresh
George
Prince
Lopez is like
Fresh
so-
Prince is in its own category. That's different.
If anything, the George Lopez show was the crack house version of the Full House show in every way that makes it better.
What about Little Bill?
Little Bill's
Oh
just
my
cracked, period.
God. Little Bill.
Would you
Little Bill is a different
include
breed.
Everybody Hates Chris as a sitcom? Because I
Yes.
do.
That's a sick.
Love that show.
That
I haven't
was-
seen
that was a
That
good
was
show.
like third grade.
That was
That
one
show
of my
was
favorite
awesome.
shows.
I think it's still playing on MTV regularly.
Or what about Malcolm in the Middle?
Yep.
Mm.
That's a
Yeah,
classic.
now that I think about it. All right, so there's a couple.
My favorite
This-
sitcom, go.
Favorite
Out of
sitcom?
all of
Everybody
those?
Hates Chris.
Everything.
Oh,
George
Friends is
Lopez.
good.
Friends is good.
I like Friends. That's my favorite.
I
Or
say
Seinfeld's
everybody
not
hates
bad either.
Chris.
Seinfeld's
That
not bad
always made
either.
me laugh. Seinfeld's good when you really are in the mood to just have that kind of humor.
When you're high off your mind and you're just willing to laugh at anything and you just want to laugh,
Seinfeld's the show.
Seinfeld is a great choice.
The
Yeah,
intro gets you right off the bat.
I briefly watched a fucking React video that was like, I think it was like
Oh my
Gen
God,
Z
everybody!
or-
It's Seinfeld!
I think it
What's
was
the
like
deal?
fucking.
Bum, 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 bum,
I
bum,
think
bum.
it was like Gen Z or whatever fucking reacts to Seinfeld, and it was just basically them saying, "Oh, you couldn't get away with jokes like that nowadays," and it's mostly just complaints, and it's just like, dude, like I don't want to watch Seinfeld, but like I know it's definitely funnier than it is offensive to me.
Oh, it's got
Yeah.
more humor to it than offensive type of material. I don't know. People are getting off on that.
Right. So I'd probably say my favorite. It's hard, but I think I'm just gonna go with George Lopez.
That's fair.
All right, so
Like,
you're
I can
with me
I
on
can
that.
watch George Lopez like for an extended period of time, just because it's not a bad show.
That's
It
fair.
has very few bad episodes, if any.
It's the AAM classic.
God,
like,
you just
Notably, my
reminded
favorite
me.
episode probably, it's because it just got the perfect amount of comedy and feel goodness. Is when, well, first Vic is the best character. Angie's dad is just the best fucking character besides
So
George.
good.
But it's Vic, Ernie, and George going to get Vic's brother, who just like jumped on a raft and left Cuba. And that episode has the perfect mix of funny and like feel good that a sitcom needs. It's not overly annoying and it's not overly mysterious.
Hmm.
Perfect.
See, but you just reminded me. I just stay one of the last memories of my grandma that I have before she passed away was her complaining about George Lopez. She said she didn't like it because she didn't want to watch like half an hour of a dysfunctional family just going at it like that, and it's like it's not entirely what George Lopez is. And then I just remember the I think it was, I don't remember if it was multiple episodes, but where Carmen was just gone because she went to wherever the fuck.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
like
was
she ran
the later
away.
season.
Yeah.
Another
placed
set of
with that other girl.
episodes that kind of got me annoyed was the episodes where George moved out because of Benny, and he lived with Ernie. It became this really weird, like, George was very depressed, sitting outside in his back, watched his family eat dinner inside, and they all faked smiled because they knew he was watching. And it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Just an
But then you have
Emilio
episodes
Lopez
like
house.
George and Ernie paying two Hispanic drunks from their old neighborhood to build a garage and pay them with beer.
That wasn't that for Andrew's office.
Yeah. And then it was like a death trap. And I remember the dude, he was like, if two birds were to land on the roof of this garage and have a little affair, just a little one, they wouldn't be able to identify your body. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
So good.
He was like, I forgot my pen in there, but I'm afraid to go in and get it. It's like, what? How much of a death trap did those guys make it? Yeah. What was else was I going to talk about? I honestly forgot. Anyone else got anything?
We could talk about how it wakes us up every fucking morning at like 2:00.
The George
You
Lopez
wake up.
No, me and Nick have had this conversation. Specifically, it's not just George Lopez. There's a specific scenario that me and Nick have experienced that in our personal just DMs on Discord, we have it pinned. It is literally you go to sleep at like 12 to 1 a.m. and you just have vague memories of waking up and just hearing Lowrider play from fucking George Lopez. And you never remember staying up to watch George Lopez from that point. You always fall asleep. And because it's on Nick, when you wake up at about 7 o'clock, the English theme for Dragon Ball GT is playing. And you're like, it's Dragon Ball time, let's go. It is literally just this same phenomena for that I remember for like years, even though I don't think Dragon Ball GT was on for years, but I do remember. But like you've heard, like literally everyone says that they have that memory of waking up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to George Lopez.
Because
With the cowbells from heaven.
Because usually like teenagers and like kids would fall asleep watching, if they fell asleep early, Nickelodeon, but then they would watch like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then it was usually like Full House and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then like Friends for like 4 hours straight, then George Lopez right before Nickelodeon starts up again.
There's all the beautiful programming of Nick at Night, man. That was the best programming at night for any kid / adult. It just had everything. But it was all good. And same thing with Cartoon Network. That moment when it goes from Cartoon Network to Adult Swim, it gets good. But if you're a young kid, when you wake up and it transitions back to Cartoon Network and you usually have like the superhero squad on, then it really hits.
Dude, when I was like 5 years old and it switched over to Adult Swim, it was the scariest shit to me. It looked so fucking weird. Everything creeped me out. But then at
Robot
like
chicken.
age 11, I remember, because how it was always King of the Hill, which when I was younger I found boring, and then I grew to like it.
Literally everyone has that with King of the Hill. King of the Hill. When you're young, it's just like, dude, why would anyone watch this? When you're older, it's like, man, I really love this show. Why isn't it coming back?
And then American Dad for an hour, and then Family Guy for an hour, and then Robot Chicken for an hour, and then it just gets fucking weird until American Dad comes back on. But I remember watching Family Guy at like age 10, and that's what taught me what sex was.
That's so
Really?
good.
You
Yeah, no,
learned
my parents never had to talk.
I mean, I've never had that talk, but like I don't remember it being Family Guy.
Well, Family Guy put the idea in my head, and then as I grew up, it slowly started to just be like, oh shit, that's how it works. Like Family Guy taught me it involved a dude and a girl, and like in bed at night in the dark, and something is going on that involves them being naked. I just didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? 6th, 7th grade, porn happened, and then yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, I know exactly how I figured out what sex was. When I was younger, I used to be really into the story of the Titanic. Like, I was just really into the fucking boat itself. Like, I had a bunch of books. Like, I did a fucking book report in like the 3rd or 4th grade on the Titanic. I used to be way into that shit for some reason. But the fucking Titanic movie, which I've seen like 7 times for some fucking reason, there's a sex scene in that movie. If you don't remember, well, it's pretty tame. It's just fucking they're in a
Gets really
car and
steamy, right?
the car gets really steamy. Her hand fucking on the window. Yeah, that's how I figured it out.
That's so good. That is so good.
So far from left to right, we have Titanic taught me what sex was. Family Guy taught me what sex was. What about you two? Do you remember it all?
Yeah, Luke, what taught you about sex?
Yeah, really. I want to hear Luke's answer.
Probably the early days of YouTube. That place
That's fair.
was a
Yeah.
wasteland, and you've learned street smart somehow through it.
That's also fair.
It was the big brother you never had.
Mm.
It was good stuff. There was some entertaining content back then.
Definitely
Ain't the
poggers.
same.
Wait, hold on. Hold on, Luke. You say big brother you never had. You have a brother, correct? Is he older or younger than you?
I have an older and a younger.
See, I have an older brother and a younger sister. Nick has an older brother.
I have 2 older brothers and an older sister. They are also what contributed to me saying the word fuck at age 4. I was cursing off my preschool teacher. I'm not joking. It was
What a
bad.
savage.
What about
Savage.
Triple O? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother. Yeah, younger.
All right, so just Luke. What do you mean, older brother we never had?
Doesn't hurt to have a second or a third.
Like, I get what you mean, but are you the fact that you even said older brother that you never had? Are you saying you don't know everything about the 3 of us? Are you saying you're not as good of a friend as I thought you were?
That's quite the. I don't know how that.
How
that
do you
connects with
not
the brother.
know everything about me?
You just don't write it down, man. I'm sorry, I haven't studied.
Bro, I have a biography. Read it sometime.
Yo, give me a copy.
Bet. But continuing, Luke, Tupelo, how did you figure out what sex was?
This is a journey. Sweeney, 3rd grade. 3rd grade. It all made sense when you said porn.
Who taught you about sex?
In 3rd grade, he taught me in 3rd grade.
Of course he fucking did.
He goes, dude, let's check this out real quick, and showed me in 3rd grade on his freaking old-fashioned 1990 desktop in his bedroom at his house. It was an experience.
Oh, this is some entertaining content. What are they doing?
That it all made sense.
Naked,
It's-
naked, yes, naked.
Dude, it's bad. It was 3rd grade. my eyes. Uh,
Elementary
it's-
school was a terrible place to grow up.
I've known Peter since kindergarten. I've known Solano. I've known forever, forever.
I've known Truffalo since second
Sean
grade
Gizzy,
CCD
Sean Gizzy.
with fucking Gizzy. Jesus, I bet that kid's dead.
What?
Nah, there was this kid we used to hang out with. His last name was Gizzy, and God, that kid, he was like best buddies. I remember all we knew was he moved away. Then in third grade, someone spotted him at a fucking supermarket and went back to the class and was like, "Guys, Sean Gizzy's still in our town," and it's just like, what? Like it was a weird revelation of, wait, maybe he just went to a different school. We could hang out with him still. No one ever made the effort because it was third grade.
I'm gonna do some research. Maybe Sean Gizzy's still alive.
Fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. If they're not in your class, you just kind of stop being friends with them.
Yeah.
They cease to exist completely.
Then there's me and Truffalo who were friends in second grade during our church school, and then in sixth grade we saw each other again,
It's facts.
and just kind of caught right back. I was like, oh shit! I remember I saw him and I recognized him. He came up to me and was talking to me like we knew each other, and I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, oh shit, it's him.
God, we've all had that experience where you just like somebody walks
My
up to
entire
you
time
all
working
like confident.
Every year, come back, see someone, be like, wait a minute, why are they talking to me like they know me? And it's like, oh shit, they got a haircut. It's you.
For me, it's
Oh,
not
true.
even that. It's some of the out of towners that fucking do that because like I'm nice to them. Because for some reason the majority of us aren't, or at least when we worked at the boardwalk. Well, that'll be a whole other thing. The boardwalk itself, but like
That's a whole episode.
a lot of them will say hi, Jamel, and they'll use my name. I'm like, yeah, hey, friend, person. Like, I don't
Yeah,
remember your name.
We traded pencils once. How are you going, soul brother?
We worked on Super Himalaya once. Thanks for doing the tickets, I guess.
Oh my god.
But hold on. Going way back to prior to Bob Saget discussion. Were there any more high school stories? Because I have a couple of notes from well before we were going to record this episode of just like stories. But if there are any more, say them now before I like go through the notes.
Yes, your Virginia ham.
Virginia ham, okay.
Your entire meal, how you'd give it away at lunch.
Okay, so but before I knew these guys, or really even knew any of, or really was friends with any of them, fucking, I came from a mythical land called Virginia. Now, that state, it was all right. Like, for some reason, everyone in that state is an asshole. I don't know what it fucking is. Everyone's a prick, except the people you talk to regularly. Not even just your neighbors. Your neighbors are pricks. Everyone who isn't your neighbor is a prick. But for some reason, those like groups of friends you develop are just fine. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's besides the point. Before coming here, I lived there. So when I finally get to this wonderful place we live in called the Garden State, you know, the state that everyone makes fun of, and we also make fun of, but that's mostly just to keep people out of it, because secretly, we're all good people here. Ah, sorry, I revealed the secret, guys. But, I used to bring a turkey sandwich to lunch, like, every day. And I would, like, almost never
Virginia
eat
turkey.
this sandwich. And, like, for, like, the first week and a half that I sat at lunch with you, Truffalo, I would give away this turkey sandwich, because I just didn't really want it for whatever reason. I don't remember who else would take the ham.
It was Mike Chamber.
but it was a turkey or ham sandwich. I'm pretty sure it was a turkey sandwich, but for some reason the name Virginia ham caught on. And I would just give away this sandwich, and like it was just one of those dumb freshman things that wasn't even like funny. It was just you kept hyping up this sandwich. It's that Virginia ham, and it's like I'm thinking back on it. I don't even think it was from the ham is from when I was still in Virginia, because that would just be disgusting. So it was literally just an overhyped sandwich.
So good.
That's how all my sandwiches were in senior year. I overhyped the shit out of my sandwiches. I made them to exactly how I liked them.
I can't believe we're talking about overhyping sandwiches right now. I'm freaking crying.
It's fucking high school. Of course, we're gonna talk about an overhyped sandwich, but I'll just go down the list of notes that I have.
We'll do a speed run.
Do you have story? No, this can't be speedrun. It's definitely you have stories for these. Which one of you wants to talk about the One Nut Wonder?
Krumla doesn't know.
Really?
It sounds familiar, but I have no idea.
I think the story was told at the either Halloween or New Year's party we went to.
Okay, I am going to censor a lot here. In fact, Jamil, just so I can say it to them, just censor his name out right here.
All right.
That I'm talking about.
I know the story.
Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. All right. So I'm just gonna refer to him as
Bird nose.
One Nut Wonder.
That guy. They were just talking about a guy.
Wonder.
Yeah, but okay. So One Nut Wonder, pretty much. There's not much else to talk about outside. Oh well, just stories about him. Okay. Yeah. No. In short, dude lost. Yo, never mind. I won't say that. I'll just. So in short, this guy was a real big idiot. He tried to mean well so much, but
all I hear is Trufalo fucking dying.
Trufalo's breaking up over there.
You just can't pass that.
But I don't really have many stories that are like outside of some personal stories in terms of like too personal to tell. I just remember one after I started to not like him, due to something happening. I was walking down a hallway, right? So I was walking down it, and I see One Not Wonder coming towards me, not to talk to me, just going the opposite direction of me. Behind him is Thomas from earlier in the story, earlier in the podcast. Thomas is walking, not behind him, but a decent length, and I see him. So I'm like, yo, what's up? And then One Not Wonder goes, oh, hey, Nick. And I walk right past him to Thomas. And Thomas is like, what's up, big guy? And I'm like, what's good, man? And then One Not Wonder walked away sad, like very sad, like, because he thought I said hi to him, but I didn't. He also got Thomas suspended and his engraved military knife taken away. Now you might be wondering, how'd that happen? In short, Thomas just received this engraved, very personal belonging switchblade. Now, the reason he brought it to school, for one, he liked to carry that kind of stuff around, not out of he's going to stab someone, but it's a self-defense thing because, I mean,
you don't have to justify that. Literally everyone in high school carried a knife and just didn't say anything. Like, I think the majority of kids did that.
Yeah, at least the majority of the ones that assumed the worst, which was most likely true. But he wanted to show it to us, right? Because we're his friends. So he wanted to show us this cool new thing he had. So when he showed it to me, all he did was take it out. And he's like, dude, check this thing out. And then after he showed it to me, not even a minute later, he's like, so what's going on? And he's like, so what's going on with you? And I'm like, not much, man. And then he whipped it out. He's like, gotta give me a fucking attitude, Nick? And I'm like, like as a joke. it's something to laugh off. That's just how Thomas was. But so then he shows it off to little T in gym. This is a different gym class. It's like junior year. Shows off to little T in the same way, right? In the way of, you give me an attitude, and he whips it out.
All right, hold on, before you continue, just imagining the worst case scenario in my head. Like, he whips it out and goes, "You giving me an attitude?" And then just the teacher looks over and it's just like, it's happening.
So like,
because
imagine
at the time, this was like the worst time he could have done that.
completely scratch the entire knife part. Just you saying whipping it out in front of a teacher is pretty sus.
Yeah, well, he didn't. The important thing is,
continue.
He took it out and fake threatened Tristan. Fuck it. It was Tristan.
Little T is Tristan. Yeah.
Little T, his name is Tristan. I'm sick of calling him Little T. It's because he's small and his name starts with a T. That's why I said it. But Tristan laughed it off because, he knew Tom wasn't going to hurt him and Tom was not gonna. So then One Nut Wonder was watching from a distance and saw this exchange happen. Was already scared of our big friend Thomas, even though Thomas, while looking menacing, was usually a really chill person
Extremely.
for the most part.
Unless you made a certain type of joke, which I will not say, not because it's offensive, but like, he's my neighbor, and I don't, just like on the off chance that he listens to this, I don't want him bitching about it.
I'll say it.
The other thing, no, I mean that as, because I don't want to deal with Tom. Not because he'll kick my ass, but because I just don't want that interaction.
That's fair.
But anyway, One Nut Wonder goes to a teacher. One of the most scumbag things you could do is tattle on a fellow brother. So he goes up there, says, "Ooh, Big Thomas gonna stab Tristan with a knife." And Thomas is brought to the principal's office, and he is suspended, and his knife is taken away and thrown out, and you can never get it back. So no, everyone kind of was like, "Where the fuck did Tom go?" And it was eventually, at least that's how I was, because he just randomly disappeared. It wasn't showing up to school anymore. So I was like, "Oh, what happened to him?" So then eventually he comes back, and how he is he'll make it seem like he's holding a grudge, when in reality it's just kind of like man, what a dickhead that guy was. Like that's kind of how he felt usually towards people like One Nut Wonder, who could do really nothing in terms of hurting Thomas, just kind of annoying him. So it just made One Nut Wonder feel very scared every day. And that was the best part about it, because I also hated One Nut Wonder.
So
That's my stories with him.
before anyone says anything else, can we not talk about the or at least elaborate on the One Nut Wonder story, or are we just not gonna talk about that?
We're not going to tell that. We're just going to call him One Nut Wonder.
All right, fair enough.
Just because people could put that together.
Out of respect.
Especially since someone was supposed to keep it a secret. Not here. No one here. Someone we all know was supposed to keep it a secret, and then told literally everyone he knew.
And
I don't
told
see
some
why they all
strangers
being
at a
part of that
party
problem.
too. So
Mr. Joe.
yeah.
Mr. Joe. Pretty savage.
But that's all I gotta say about One Nut Wonder. Just
Before I say what I'm gonna say, and this story involves you, Truffalo. Luke and Truffalo, do you have anything on One Nut Wonder?
I don't.
Outside of Luke, in at least One Nut Wonder's head, stealing his girlfriend.
I mean, yeah,
One
that's
Nut-
a whole fucking arc itself. But that's
I'll just
too
give
much to go
Sparknotes
into.
version with minimal detail. One Nut Wonder really liked the girl that Luke dates.
Well, we already
Anna.
we
They were
already
dating.
mispronounced her name like 3 times.
Right. So we're just gonna continue to call her Anna. So Anna,
Anna.
and One Not Wonder dated for a small bit. Something that Anna regrets, because it was just nothing. Nothing good came out of it in terms of nothing bad came out of it. Just nothing came out of it. Nothing happened.
Simply put, it happened.
It happened, and we choose to just either joke about it or forget it. But after those two ended, after a very short thing, Anna and Luke got together and are still together for a very long time. One Not Wonder took that personally, and now
dude, I
still
forgot they
most likely
dated.
hates Luke for it because
I
it's been like
forgot they
5 to 6 years.
dated.
I wonder because I want to talk to him just to see how he feels.
You
curious.
literally cucked
I
this
want Anna to
man.
talk to him.
He cooked himself.
No. You can't pretend that you were not the quote unquote bull in this situation. Luke, we both know you got abs. You shredded.
We all know
You cucked
got
him. You cucked him.
Facts.
But all right. So last One Not Wonder story, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So Trueflow, you should remember this. That time, me, you, and Thomas all got detention.
Oh.
Oh god. Oh god.
That's fine.
So this happened in a wonderful computer class. All
Doctor
right,
Doom.
so we'll be calling him Dr. D. The only reason I don't want to say his name is not because it's like I necessarily want to protect him, but he has an Instagram and it's kind of like we're aware of it. Like if we said his name, you could probably find it.
He's the most unstable man I think I've ever met.
Well, we all had the theory that he had Asperger's. I don't think anyone confirmed it. We just kind of knew. But so we're in that class, and it was just what he told us was, or well, actually no, I had to preface it the day before. We had a sub that day, and the usual suspects in that class. I don't remember any of their names, but what they would do in that class would just be like fucking around. They would like there was a fucking set of speakers in that room. It was in a library, but it was in the corner of the library, and there were speakers on that side, and they would blast shit through those speakers. They would do all kinds of shit. What like just normal, just douchebag teen shit, basically. And they're the usual suspects. That's what I'll refer to them as, because I don't know what else to refer to them as. So the next day, Dr. D comes in and is just like, we're all just gonna sit here in silence. Nobody's allowed to talk. You all just do your work. And what he said was, if anyone talks, if anyone acts up, you all tomorrow will have like even more work tomorrow. He didn't like really give us like any like real threat of just other than you'll have work. So like
That's
what we were
nice.
already doing basically, and just the difference was you weren't allowed to talk.
Yep.
So we all sat there in silence for like almost the entire period until literally 10 minutes before the bell would ring, and everyone starts talking again because he already basically said, "All right, we're all good," basically. For whatever reason, I don't remember why. I just know that you and Tom were messing around. Tom took your bag.
This is true.
And I just remember you two were wrestling over this bag. And I know you will attest to this. I know Tom will attest to this. I did literally nothing other than stand up. I just happened to be near you and talking to both of you.
You were actually sitting next to a retard rebound.
He was there too. But he was sat down. I know I eventually just stood up at some
Jamil,
point.
no, Jamil, the thing is, you didn't stand up. I stood up. I stood up and I said, Dr. D, Thomas took my bag. And he looked at me and then freaked out on all three of us, and you didn't say a word. And he goes, and you have detention.
No. He didn't. I'll explain. I remember what happened, and this is why it was like kind of fucked. Because I remember I eventually did stand up after you two were wrestling with your fucking bag, and noticed, or you told him or told him as a joke, Tommy stole my bag, help. Dr. D, help. And he eventually just like he fucking loses it. I don't remember what he said. He just pointed at us and just basically told the class that, all right, because of these three, you all have fucking work tomorrow, basically. What I think it was is because we were done with a project, was he was just gonna let us have the next day like as a free period, basically. That's what I think it was. It pretty much was a free period the entire time, but yeah. So he does that. But what Tom pointed out is he put all three of our names up on the screen, but he didn't just put our names up. He brought up like the student files or whatever it was.
Oh yes.
Like it was like whatever they used to grade it or whatever it was. Student database is what we'll call it, I guess. Genesis, yeah. And it had our pictures. Now I don't think it had my picture because I didn't have a yearbook photo until like senior year. Mm-hmm. But like because I just somehow missed picture day like every day, every time it was a thing. But he puts our name up, and we're just like, all right, whatever. That's kind of whack. And I mean, I literally did nothing wrong. So next day, I go into my Spanish class. Now, my Spanish class was literally a free period where all we did was watch movies. And they didn't even have Spanish subtitles half the time. We were watching Finding Nemo. Actually, it was either Finding Nemo or the SpongeBob movie. I don't remember which. It was one of those two movies. And I eventually get sent to whoever... Well, we're not going to say their name. But, like, it was basically, like, the student counselor for the grade and not, like, just normal student counselor.
Didn't we have Mrs. K?
I think. I don't remember, honestly. But I get sent to her office, and she basically tells me I have detention, and it's like, do you have any questions, concerns, whatever? It's like, not really, because I don't even know what this is about. And I was considering just saying, hey, I didn't really do anything. I think the other two people involved would attest to that, but I was just like, I didn't think it was worth it, because, I don't know, authority figures and teachers in high school seem to be the worst about it. They just kind of don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Like, they'll tell you something and like you'll argue against it, and you'll argue the point too, and you'll give usually mind you, you'll give a pretty valid reason, but then they'll just be like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. So I just went back to my Spanish class, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't say we had detention. He didn't tell us anything about that. And I mean, I guess he doesn't have to. Like, I feel like as a teacher, you kind of just have to say you have detention. But it's more a personal gripe than anything. So, I don't remember if we had lunch or fucking his class beforehand. All I remember it was his class. We get through it. I think he said something smart to like all three of us. It was either before or after what comes next happened. I don't remember the order off the top of my head. But we get through the class, and I know we're sitting down at lunch, and we eventually come up with the idea to just go down to guidance and basically tell them what happened.
I don't even think we went to guidance. I think we talked to the VP. about the entire situation because guidance couldn't help us. We talked to the
Yeah, no, because
rest.
we went to guidance first, talked to them because I remember we sat down with both our guidance counselors. I think came with us. I'll censor his name. Whatever, not important. Fucking Joey came with us. Is all what I'll say. Fucking, he comes with us because he probably just wanted to tag along just for the fucking, I don't know, thrill of talking to your guidance counselor as a group. But his justification for it is I'll be your witness, basically.
Fair.
It's like, well, all right,
He was in the
whatever.
class too. He was in the class.
He was no, like that. It's not like he came out of nowhere. It was a pretty valid reason. And I was like, I don't know. At the time, we definitely did look a little more professional in our heads with a witness. And they basically tell us, all right, we'll have you talk to Mrs. K again. And then I don't remember if it was the next day or the same day that we ended up talking to her as a group again. We explained the entire situation. She's basically like, she didn't necessarily agree with us, but she was kind of just like, all right, I'll let you guys off with a warning, but you will say nothing to fucking, what were you calling him, Dr. D?
Dr. D.
Fucking Dr. D about this, because I can't be seen undermining his authority. And we get into class the next day, or the day we were supposed to have attention, and he's like, so, how you guys doing? And me and Tom were like, because we were sitting next to each other this time, and we're like, fine, I guess. And he's just like, yeah, just like, I really didn't want to have to do that, but like, I gotta maintain order in my class. And it's just like, and we were like, yeah. And he walks away, and me and Tom immediately look at each other like, this nigga. I'll censor that if you want, Nick, but I want to keep that
you
in.
good.
Yeah, nah.
You're the black one. You should be able to say that.
Thanks.
It really was just like, dude. I just love how he just never know. He will never know. That's my favorite part about that.
That's what makes it 10 times better. What I like is he was apologizing to us.
He was. It's just like he didn't even need to.
We were like little rats.
God.
Terrible.
And it's funny because I'm pretty sure by the end of that class, and even before this thing happened, we were still like in the top 10 of his favorite students in that specific class.
And they should have him every year.
My favorite thing about that class was me and Tom did the final project together. We didn't even really finish it, and he just said, I looked at it, y'all have an A. You never looked at any of the final projects.
I know.
God, that fucking whole class was a fucking meme, but
It really was.
I don't remember enough of it, and like that's the only story I remember because it's like the only time I've ever been in trouble in school besides the one time I got suspended. But that's not you guys weren't aware of that, but that's a whole other story. It's not worth getting into.
My buddy Josh, it was my senior year. We had this class, and we had these stories we'd come up with. It was like the Aries or whatever. It would make a story every single day. And if I can find access to this lovely account, I'll get back to you on it. But there's tons of good stories on there. We narrate what he does throughout the day.
You know, that'll be like one of those side things you could fucking upload. If you do find that, send it to me.
Sure.
Yes, please. We'll have Luke narrate it.
idea.
Get that practicing. But
Yeah,
all right, you know,
keep
I'll
it
say
going.
this. I'll say this story for it first. But foist, literally foist. But it's another story that involves Tom the Bankerman, if y'all remember that nickname.
My God.
But, it was the first time I had ever smoked weed.
Oh boy.
Is smoking a word? Smoked is the word, but so I don't remember what happened. Oh wait, no, yeah, I do. I was getting my sister off the bus, so I was standing outside at like 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, whining about my sophomore life, not realizing that, man, high school is like the easiest thing in the world. Tom eventually walks up to me because I think he was going to what do I refer to this kid as?
Oh god.
We'll just call him Military Man for now.
Him. No, Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid. I'll tell that story
That's what
too.
Thomas
'Cause
called him.
I'll tell that story too
No.
because I remember that one. Kool-Aid.
I don't know if you two remember it. The skinny kid who was always around Tom. We know his name.
Here, I'll just censor this. It's that
Yeah,
twink.
Tom called him Kool-Aid because he would barge into Tom's
No,
house.
no, hold on.
like,
I'll tell
uninvited.
the story.
Love David. Love David. Very good.
But so he walks up to me and like we were talking about whatever, and like he eventually just brings up that he's going to smoke, and like he just wanted to, like he wanted somebody to be with him because he was going to sneak out of his house to go do it because it's before his mom really knew, so he didn't have that freedom to just fucking smoke yet. So he's like, hey, do you want to come with me? And I'm like, yeah, because prior to this, I think we had already snuck out like 2 or 3 times. And he was wasted and fucked up for most of them. So, he eventually, I think he eventually just asked like, hey, do you want to try it? And I'm like, yeah. And I remember him being taken aback by that, but like I had given like no prior indication to whether or not like I was the
no
type.
a bunch of times, and he asked me so many times.
Hmm.
He was probably just like,
Somebody finally.
yeah, he's like, somebody cool from high school really wants to do it. Nice.
But so like this is more just a preface to the real story because the first time anyone ever smokes weed, normally you really don't feel anything. Like you kind of get the giggles, but you don't really like you don't really feel it. And that's
I got the giggles.
My theory, my idea for this, my big brain theory is that your brain isn't used to THC, so it's just like, what is this? What did you put in the body? So it's constantly fighting against it, so it doesn't let you get nearly as high, and then it realizes, oh, it's harmless, and it makes me feel good. So the next time it happens, it's just like, oh yeah, let's let all of this in. But so first time I get high, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, this is kind of fun. Second time, I remember him telling me, it's going to hit you, and it's going to hit you way harder than you're expecting. Like, it's not double what you felt the first time. It's not even 4 times what you felt the first time. And I remember we were sitting on a park bench at 3 in the morning, and I had just taken a bunch of hits off a blunt that we were splitting. And I just remember I start laughing. I don't remember what it was that he said, but I was cackling, and I just like throw my head forward and to like fucking laugh, and I tilt my head back, and then it's just like,
yeah, that's all you need. I sneezed the first time I got high, and it fucked me up. I was like, what the fuck?
It was literally just like, you see those fucking ads where it's just like the person's on the couch and they're just all flat, just smooth out. It literally felt like that, dude. It's the funniest fucking thing to me, because I remember I was freaking out. I was bugging, dude, because it's 3 in the morning, and I was like, there's so much of a delay, like visual delay, like it was hard for me to like pick up a water bottle. I was so fucking high. Like I was moving my hand in front of my face, and I was just like, how do people do this? Like how? How do you do this? And it's just like, and like Tom's like, just trust me, just grab the water bottle, and like I eventually like use enough of what's left of my brain power to grab a water bottle and just drink it. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, all right, just stand up. And I'm like, I cannot do that. And like, and I can tell Tom's getting frustrated because he's just like, really? Like, how the fuck are you gonna get back in your house? Like, why the fuck did we do this? Because now he's getting mad at me because he didn't expect me to freak out like this. Whatever. That's not important. He eventually coaxes me into standing up, and it's just like after like you get over the initial just like you're now in a different world kind of feeling, because like what it is like there are different stages, and I remember Tom describing like what him and fucking we'll call them the goon squad that Tom hangs out with refer to these stages as. You have painting, movie, video game, and then there's a fourth one. I don't remember what it was called, but it's basically just a transitional stage between all of them. Movie, like everything to you kind of like feels like it's playing out like you're watching a video. Like I don't know if you guys get that feeling, but I remember when he was explaining it to me, like it made perfect sense. And then there's painting, where like you kind of just zone out for most of it. Like everything you're staring at just doesn't like it doesn't react to you moving. Like if you were to turn your head and there's like a lamppost in front of you, like the light doesn't really move. And I know it doesn't really make sense to anyone who's never been high, but like if you've been high, you know. Then there's video game, which is by far the worst because it just feels like you're having an out of body experience. Now, I distinctly remember one of the many times we got high after this. Me, Tom, and Kool-Aid go into a 7-Eleven. And I don't remember why, but I needed to buy a gift card for something. So I go grab a gift card, and I have the exact amount in dollar bills that I need. Mind you, Nick, this is the same 7-Eleven that I hate going into, and it was the same people, too.
Luke, it's your favorite 7-Eleven.
Ooh.
It's that
Last one there,
7-Eleven. I open my wallet to retrieve this bill, and I think it was $10, a $10 bill, exactly. And I know I have a $10 bill. So I'm looking through my wallet, and I keep flipping through the bills. And I realize I had to have been standing there what felt like 10 minutes, just looking in my wallet, because I had zoned out that hard. And I eventually find the $10 bill, and I look up, and I hand it to him, and he just looks at me like super surprised. Because he probably, honestly, I said their names, whatever, I'll censor it. Because of fucking Tom and Kool-Aid, he probably thought we were gonna try and steal something, and I was just standing there to buy time looking like a dumbass. And when I handed him the bill, he was just like, oh, you actually have money. Huh. Because no, and it's funny in context now that the reason I hate going to that 7-Eleven now is because every time that me and Nick went to it, I would never have change. So whenever I went to pay, I would pay with whatever dollar amount was slightly higher than was necessary. And I was like, do you have change? I was like, no. Can you give me change? And like it was this whole interaction every like time we do it that I would hand him the bill, and in his thick accent, I will not say what nationality they are from, but like you just couldn't tell what he was saying. And I'm sitting there like, what? And they were getting progressively madder at me. Eventually, the third night of doing this, that me and Nick go to the 7-Eleven, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going in there. Edward, do you want to explain why they hate you, Nick? Because
Okay, so in senior year, I got out of school like at half the day early. Like I only had 2 classes, so I'd get out at like 11 in the morning. And for reference, school started at like 6 or like 7:10. That's like exactly when the first class starts. And this 7-Eleven's like pretty close to the school, so I would leave school and go there because close, and on my way home, I could just grab an Arizona iced tea and like maybe like a sandwich or something. But how I dressed in senior year was I wore really beat up Nikes, dark colored jeans, black beanie, and a black hoodie. So I just looked like a degenerate who was ready to mug like anyone around me. But I never acted like I was always super nice, but they always gave me the dirtiest look whenever I walked in there. And like they still do, but I can't tell if it's because they remember me or it's just because they still think I look like a degenerate.
you see, the weird thing about this is you and Luke have gone into together, and for
Yeah.
some reason they love Luke.
Yeah, no, they love him. It's weird.
Yeah.
Luke, explain.
I don't know. Sometimes I go in there and we're just friendly to each other. But doing as sometimes we talk or
I always
have a
try,
small
and they
conversation.
they don't let me. They're like, "All right, have a good day." And I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah, like
bye."
I'm not a very social person to random people. So usually it'd be the dude instigating it. And I'm like, all right. And I'll go along with it because I like doing that sometimes. Usually I try to go in when they're not incredibly tired, or if I do, then I'm just quiet and I don't try to rush anything. I let them just lay back and relax.
Yeah, Luke, I do exactly what you do. They just don't like me.
You see,
Probably
it's
the aura.
literally nobody has done anything wrong. It's just they only like you, Luke, for some reason.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just such a white guy.
Are you implying that Nick is not white?
No, I'm
I'm
probably
too
just
white.
such. I'm just too white.
Racist.
You know what,
Unless
Luke?
it's
You
German.
are the equivalent of just like generic white bread, not Italian white bread,
I'm Wonder
Icelandic
Bread.
white bread. You're sweet tasting white bread.
I wouldn't even go
He
that
does love
far.
sweet
He's
taste.
literally yeast.
I look sweet.
Motherfucker is
Luke is so
bread.
white, he's yeast.
Yeah, dude, he's yeast. Like Nick is white bread and Luke is yeast.
Fucking
Not
yeast.
truthful. You're rye bread.
A rye bread? Yeah.
All right, so I have
Jamal's
one
wheat.
more
Jamil,
story
you're
that I
toast.
want to fucking tell. I have one more story that I want to tell, and then I know there's one more story that everyone here except Luke, I guess, is involved with.
We're not going to get into that. This is a really long podcast already.
We're just under 2 hours, but like,
Yeah, well,
feel like
after
we
this story,
should-
we'll call it.
kind of short, but like I feel like we should end it on that. Like it's
Nah.
it's a saga, but like come on.
We'll make an entire episode about it.
Do you want to do it? That's more of a mini episode.
No, we can get everyone's like perspectives and stories. It'll be great.
Sure,
We'll save
but fine. We'll save that. This next story. This takes place sophomore year again.
As it should.
I'll preface it with this question just because I think it's funny. Do you remember the time I bullied a certain somebody so hard that they gave me a DS to stop me from bullying them?
Say
I
that again?
remember.
Do you
What
remember the time that I bullied a certain somebody so hard that they gave me their DS
No,
to get
I
me
don't.
to stop?
I'm gonna
Really?
hear this. You never told me this.
It's the kid who pinned me up against the bleachers during gym. That guy,
Jeez, what's his name?
the communist.
We already said his name multiple times.
Yeah, Norin.
Yeah, but we're
Norin.
not gonna.
Alright. I'll expose his ass. He deserves it.
Fair enough, and I'm surprised you didn't mention that story. Him pitting you against the bleachers in gym.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing.
Fair enough. Literally, he's not. I don't know how to describe it. He's just certain social situations. He's not the best, is what I'll say. And
Exactly.
me being a complete fucking asshole in all throughout high school, I will fully admit this. I would just rag on him, like anything he said, anything he did that was like, huh, that's weird. I'm gonna pounce on this and rip into him for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and I will get some chuckles out of this. I know I will, because I know you all laughed. I know a certain Tom laughed every time I would do it. And I was not the only one, but I definitely did it the most because I hung out with the communist Norin the most. And I was legitimately friends with this kid. I say that even though I ripped into him like every day.
One of those guys. Yeah, no, we were best friends. Meanwhile, the guy was like going over it, crying over it.
Literally that. But one day, I think it was me, him, and I want to say Joey from the Dr. D story. We were talking in the hallway, and he eventually just I'm not really paying attention because they were talking about something that they were talking about, and I was just kind of there. I'm like on my phone. I wasn't really paying attention, but I picked up on this. If you want a reason to drink at night, just talk to Jamil for a few minutes. And I'm like, I'm sitting there on my phone, and it just like it clicks in my head. I'm like, Jesus, I did not realize how hard I was going in on this kid. If that's the kind of joke he's making, because with him, you can't tell if he's 100% serious or not. Like for him, that's almost believable. So, I don't remember, like, I think he pitched the idea to me, like, what would it take to get you to stop? So instead of doing the, gentlemanly thing, or just the right thing, and just being like, you don't have to do anything, I'm the one who's being an asshole here, I'll just fucking stop. I don't think I initially said anything, but he just, like, offered his DS? Mind you, it was a DS Lite. So it's not to say he lost anything, but he really shouldn't have had to offer it in the first place. Kind of thing. So I think we hung out, not you guys, but like me and a few other people from high school hung out at his house one day, and he just gives me the DS on that day. And I still have the DS to this day, and it works. That's literally just the whole story. I bullied somebody to the point where they gave me a fucking DS.
You made him drink at night, Jamil.
With that note, I don't know, first half, like part one of high school stories and misadventures, including sitcoms. God, we talked about some random shit. But
As promised.
Luke, Nick, any final things you want to say?
I'm at a loss.
Luke.
I have lost more brain cells within these last 2 hours than I think I ever have in my entire life.
Oh
Glad that our
shit,
podcast has that effect.
Dude, guys, I feel like you know what I'm about to say, and Jesus fuck, I'm sorry. That was not recording.
It was a good run then. Uh,
I just, I oh, why? Please tell me you're fucking around.
Yeah, I'm fucking with you.
You are?
Yes. We're officially at 149.32
Oh my
of
god, I'm just gonna
footage.
actually just tell you, Jamil, we're not doing the podcast for like another month because of that. We're delaying it again.
2 hours of talking and just nothing came out of it.
Like
I
literally we
mean,
told stories we all know about. Like nothing was advanced here.
And if we had to repeat it, it wouldn't be the same.
nah,
Jamal,
it
don't
just
do that ever
fucking wouldn't.
again.
Oh
Nick
my
just had a
god.
heart attack.
Oh,
I did. I was about to just throw the full corporate rage. And just like,
see, for a
Davey, like,
second
I
when
don't
you
give a
left,
fuck.
I thought you like immediately were like, yeah, no, he's fucking with me. Let me just pretend to be angry for a second, but then I was just like, I realized, oh no, he's having a moment.
like joy back. So I'm like, maybe it's not. Maybe he's fucking around. But I came back, everyone was laughing. I'm like, oh no, it's real. I left again. And I came back, and I was like, just give it to me straight.
Give it to me straight, dog.
Oh my god, man, that was the Rated LR podcast, episode 2. Holy shit!
Finally, after what, like 2-3 weeks after promising that we'd, or at
Weekly
least to ourselves,
upload.
the weekly uploads.
It's gonna happen, I swear.
No, it won't.
Oh boy.
Fuck.
Luke, Nick, Drew.
Final thoughts?
Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
It was a good time reminiscing with all the pain.
Thank you.
Thank you
Luke,
for being here.
Yeah, you two will probably come back eventually. Luke, I know
think
you
so.
will. But
I'm down.
yeah, all right. Thank you too. You can leave. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
We're free from our